Hi, happy Monday, I think. So again, we've just had a StreamYard saga. So I'm just going to check that we're where we're supposed to be. I'm going to pull in my book pile. Oh, my whole thing's crashed. Jade says I'm not there. So if anyone's on, come and say hi.
There we go.
I can see myself. Yeah. Fabulous. Hi, hang on, comments. There I am. So.
Oh, you've got text going across. It's like subtitles.
Yeah, it always does. Jade says you've got text going across like subtitles. It always is on Facebook. Did you never know that?
I've never seen it.
It just guesses what I'm saying. It's really fun.
It does.
I know. It's great fun. Hi. Sorry. If you've seen me this morning, it's lovely to see you again. We had a networking and training session this morning where we did some business brainstorming, which was loads of fun, and was kind of like a project that I'd done with my own business last week, and then I did it the week before, and then I did it with Louise's business last week, and it's just been brilliant. So we had a lovely session this morning. I'm now drinking my cold cup of tea because then I've just recorded the session just now, ready to go in the business club group. So it's afternoon already. I don't know how we got here, but I'm going to just do a little roundup. Jade said 3 books. I'll see where I get to. On some of my favourite business books on some of my favourite books for business owners. Now, interestingly, a couple of these aren't even business books, but they're all about the mindset and the kind of the stuff you need to be a successful business owner, because it is so much more than just the business skills that you can learn. So much of it is about your own perception of it, what you're willing to put into it to a degree. So my very first book I basically recommend for women everywhere is a Jen Sincero book called You Are a Badass. Now, I've had this on Kindle for ages. I found it in charity shops the other week. So I've never even read the actual paper version. But this book is everything. So in terms of a self-help book, I guess, but so much about inspiring mindset and just those really small mental shifts that make you think, why the frick didn't I know this before? Or why had I never realized it? Or why have I never thought about it in this way? And it says on the back, and it is entirely true, 27 bite-sized chapters of hilariously inspiring stories, sage advice and easy exercises. And so much of that is what it is. Like, I laughed out loud so many times at this book. And so many times I'm like, fuck, I do that. Oh, I do that. And it must be 7 years maybe since I first read this. But it's brilliant. And it's the one I go back to over and over again. If I'm feeling a bit like meh, I'll just dip in and read a chapter of this, or I'll recognise like, oh, I'm hitting one of the things she calls when you're making a lot of change is like the big snooze. I'm like, I'm hitting the big snooze, and I'll like reread about it because it inspires me to keep doing more and doing better. And that is what so much of this book is about. Yeah, there's loads in it. It talks about the idea it's going to identify and change your self-sabotaging beliefs and behaviours that stop you getting what you want. Create a life you love and create it now. Now, that as a sentence is huge to me. It's something I go on and on and on and on about. It's like, how are you building a life that you want to live? I don't know if I've announced it officially. It went out to some people in my newsletter recently, but my husband's going to work in my business with me in 2 weeks. Technically, it's the Easter holidays in 2 weeks, and then he's going to work in. So he's got 10 days left at work. And this feeling is like, it's one of those that's not an entirely logical decision. Like, he's given up a big corporate job. He's doing it on a year career break at the minute. But he's given up a big corporate job, company car, all the safe stuff, all the good stuff, to start living a life that we want to live. Like, the idea of being able to be off on school holidays because we can or want to be, and for him not to be on calls after the school run, like stuff like that is huge. And it's only from like a mindset perspective that we are able to make big decisions like that, like about creating a life that we want to live and doing it now. Like, there's always reasons to wait longer. There's a zillion reasons not to do this stuff. When I jacked it all in and went traveling, when me and Tom were married and pregnant in a year, it's like there's always reasons not to do stuff. It's all bullshit. It's all about like build a life you actually want to live rather than dragging your ass through every single day, waiting for it to change, waiting for it to get better. Because, yep, some stuff will shift naturally with time, but other stuff, you've just got to decide to change it. And this book was a huge, huge influence in me on loads of bits around that. The other bit is on the bottom, it says, make some damn money already, the kind you've never made before. And even the mindset shifts around money, massive, absolutely massive. And they open everything, it opens everything up. There's little quotes on each page, but this one's like, we tiptoe through life, hoping to safely make it to death. Like, it's fucking entirely true. We're hoping to get there, like, in a healthy way. Like, what? That makes no sense whatsoever. So yeah, this is one of my very, very favorite books for women. Never mind if you're a business owner, but just in general, if you're a woman, it's one of, if anyone ever comes to me for therapy, it's one of the first books I recommend that they read. There's a lot in it. I've just opened a page. It's kind of talking about cognitive bias, but it never phrases it in that way because you potentially wouldn't understand it in that way. One of the lines is like, you have to change your thinking first and then the evidence appears. Our biggest mistake is we do it the other way around. We demand to see the evidence before we believe it to be true. And like, how many people does that resonate with? Like, when I make enough money, then I'll be able to do this. It's like we're waiting for the evidence first rather than recognizing when I give up my part-time job, I'll be able to spend more time in my business to make money. It's like we're flipping things the wrong way around all of the time. So yes, my number one business book, You Are a Badass. It's not even a business book. It's a self-help book for women. Yeah, hugely. What Jade's going to do is she's going to put the links of these books and some other ones, if I don't get to talk about them, in the comments below, because it took me ages to decide which ones I actually wanted to talk about. So my next one, again, is not technically a business book, but it is all about pulling your mindset back onto doing the right stuff. So this book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff. Again, this book is one of those that I will be sat in my chair in my office and I'll be in a bit of a funk or whatever, don't want to do something, and I will literally pull the book off the shelf. Each chapter is a page, literally there to there, and you can just get a tiny bit of it's almost like a pep talk. It's literally a pep talk in a book. Like chapter 31, become aware of your moods and don't allow yourself to be fooled by the low ones. It's like, just that as a notice, okay, I'm in a low mood, that's not actually who I am. Become aware of your moods. Things like this one, choose being kind over being right. So if you've ever heard me talk about like my home life, we have a phrase in our house all the time is, do you want to be right or happy? And I spent so much of my life like wearing my stubbornness like a badge of honor and always needing to be right. And I got to the stage eventually through like lots of self-development where you recognize it doesn't matter if everyone else knows I'm right. Like, I can know it inside and I don't have to prove it. And I can be like wise enough to be open to having my mind change, which is so important. But choosing to be kind over being right, it's like, it couldn't be more powerful, this book, where I can genuinely dip into it. Imagine yourself at your own funeral. Like, that sounds horrific, but it's that idea that's really effective at reminding us what's most important in our lives. What are we going to talk about then? Yeah, this book, lower your tolerance to stress. So instead of like, again, lower your tolerance to stress, we all talk about this idea of increasing our tolerance to stress. How is that helping us? Like, it's allowing us to get more stressed before we like decide to change something. Lower your tolerance, like mind-blowing. Decide to tolerate less stress. And when you get to that toleration point, is that a word? Deciding to remove some of it. Like, again, these little bits of conceptual thinking, little ideas that make me think, God, I always be like, I'll just have to get better at handling the stress, rather than actually realizing I need to get better at deciding not to deal in stress. Like, that's massive. So yeah, this book, allow yourself to be bored on a weekend. On a weekend, I try really, 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 really hard not to work because I should be with my family, blah, 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 blah. I should be hanging out with my kids who don't want to hang out with me anymore. But this idea, and then I'm like, to Tom, like, bored. Because I want to work, because I love working, or I want to read, but I'll get disturbed, or whatever it is. And I'm like trying to fix that boredom instead of recognizing, actually, let's just sit here till I decide what I want to do. Allow my creative brain to think. And I can't tell you how many good ideas I have on weekends because I'm allowing myself to not be doing something all of the time. Boredom's like so, so important. Lots about becoming more patient. Let others have the glory. There's no need, unless you've got massive ego, to have any of the glory. This was one of my big ones. Remind yourself that when you die, your in basket won't be empty. Anyone who's trying to get on top of everything in their life, stop it. Like, when you cark, there's still going to be stuff that you wanted to do and wanted to achieve and thought you would do tomorrow. I've lost both my grandparents recently, both my last remaining nans recently. And like, lots of this idea is, if we go to their house, they're like, Jade was just saying, like, her walking stick's still next to the door. Like, she doesn't ever think that she's not coming back to use that. This idea that we put a lot of faith in tomorrow and we try to achieve a lot of stuff today to make it easier for tomorrow, but tomorrow is not guaranteed. So yeah, so don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff, and it really, really is. It's all small stuff. One of my other favorite books. And then this one has been rewritten now. So it's Denise Duffield Thomas. It's called Get Rich Lucky Bitch, but she's actually rewritten it. Or has she? So this book I adore. She also wrote one called Chillpreneur, like entrepreneur, Chillpreneur, but she's rewritten that into Chill and Prosper. Both of those. So the other one's on my Kindle. This one is just fab. Now, she's quite woo-woo in the sense that she is quite law of attraction-y. And I'm all right with that to a degree, because I totally believe that what you focus on is what you get, but you actually have to do the work as well. But this book talks loads about money blocks and where they come from. Bless me. And like how you get past them, how you recognize what they were doing there in the first place, how they're protecting you. Because generally, like, lots of our blocks are there because we've put them in place to protect us from something at some point, and it might not be valid anymore. But it's this idea that there's reasons that we do or don't do things that are like embedded from our past stuff, and we don't notice that. Oh, hello, we've got some people. Hey, what time are you setting off home? I missed you this morning. Thanks. Don't know where that sneeze was from, but thanks. Yeah, this idea of money blocks, and our money blocks and stuff come in these really weird like spaces. So there's a story I tell a lot of the time. So we were from a proper pit family, and I remember that we only really had like proper meat on a Sunday, and we were very much from their era, I guess, class, whatever, of where you kind of had to eat everything on your plate. And so it was like you cleared your plate. It was very much a mindset kind of thing then. And it was genuinely only like way after I met Tom, so maybe 5 years ago, that I sort of realised that I was still living in a mindset where I had to eat everything on my plate. And this sounds so small, but it's the idea that it's like there wouldn't be enough, or I had to be grateful for everything I'd got, but so grateful that I had to force myself like to feel sick to clear my plate. And when you recognise something like that, it's like one of those limiting beliefs that you've done all your life and never really questioned whether it still fits you now, whether it fitted you anyway, or whether it's just something you were brought up with. But it's stuff like that that are our little blocks that we just don't notice. So that idea that I have to clear my plate when now I'm really lucky and I'm in a position where I have enough money to afford to be able to eat well, like when you notice something is like stopping you, it's such a revelation that you're like, gosh, I don't have to eat everything on my plate anymore. And I probably never did, but it was very much the environment in which I was brought up in. And then it's really hard to break. It's really, really hard to start leaving food on your plate. Like when I'm full, stop eating. It's really hard to do that. But all that stuff is blocks, and then money blocks. Like that's a genuine one of feeling poor when I was younger, like compared with now. But this book is so interesting about where some of this stuff comes from, and almost how to undo it, how to recognize it, and how to undo it. And then like permissions, you've got permission to do what the frick you want. There's a big passage in by Leonie Dawson, who is a great coach that I love in Australia. Denise Duffield Thomas is Australian. But yeah, this book is lovely, but the Live Well and Prosper is as well. Yes, I love her. A couple of other ones that I'll mention, but I've only got on Kindle, so I can't show you, are The Artful Marketeer, like Musketeer, The Artful Marketer, by Minette Riordan. I'll put the link in. In terms of marketing in your business, this book is just fab in that it's a bit more for, I want to say, creative entrepreneurs. And I think that's actually who she pitches it at. But it's lots of it is about the idea of being able to see a business plan, a marketing plan, rather than going at it without kind of a strategy. So one of the big things she talks about it in is she talks about a one-page marketing plan where it splits up. It might be available on audio, Donna, but there's lots of really good pictures in it about how the business plan works. In fact, I don't think it is on Audible, but it is on Kindle Unlimited, and it's actually free if you've got Kindle Unlimited, but it's £2 to buy on Kindle at the minute. But it talks about, the one-page marketing plan, and it's really, really, really useful. And it is all about like being that creative kind of, creative entrepreneur who, I'm just trying to see what she says. Learn how to create one-page visual business plan and a colourful, intuitive marketing plan that's easy to implement, fun to create, and specifically designed to grow your creative business. And I used to have mine on here. I don't know why I've not done it again this year. But I used to have my one-page plan on my wall, and it was really, really useful. And the idea that it's colourful and creative, it like really plays into that part of my brain, because I'm quite balanced in that sense, and I like to see numbers and figures, but I do like to see things written out. And the session this morning, we did like a bit of a mind map and a chart plan, and that's really useful. It was interesting watching people. Sue, who was there, who's neurodivergent, she works with neurodivergent people, specifically had colours going on. She really knew how to make that work for her. And this Artful Marketer is really, really interesting for that kind of thing. What else did I have in my list? My list's just gone because it's just waiting for friends. Oh, I had Carrie Green's She Means Business. Now, that is a proper business book, and it is one that I probably listened to, I listened to this on Audible, Donna, probably about 4 years ago. And I love her voice. She's British. And I just remember thinking, God, it is really that easy if you want it to be, isn't it? And she talks like dead candidly about building her business. And she's a coach as well. She's got an online membership club. I think it's now about $97 a month for her online membership club. And she's got lots of big names doing masterclasses and stuff in there. And I joined for a little while. The book's way better than the club, in my opinion. I loved the book. There's lots of stuff she talks about in there, lots of dead practical stuff, and then lots of weird woo-woo stuff. Like, it's really hard. She describes like way that she refreshes her thinking, and she talks about some of the visualizations she does that were really, really interesting and like doable, but it's also dead practical, like how she built her business from nothing, literally nothing, really successfully. I loved that book, actually. So that's Carrie Green's She Means Business. That's such a good book. And then, where's my list? Oh, Profit First. So Profit First is a business book I'll bang on about for the rest of my life. You don't even actually need the book. You could just Google the concept of Profit First. But Profit First is the idea that instead of looking at our figures in our business in the traditional sense of kind of sales minus expenses equals profits, we change that up completely to sales minus profits equals expenses. And the idea is you take out your profit, you take out your wages first, and then you operate your business on what's left. And that is a concept I've just uploaded, or it's literally uploading right now on YouTube, and the money management module that I taught last month live is just about to drop into Business Club if you're a Business Club member. And that talks all about Profit First in there. It's such a brilliant concept. And the book is worth reading, but it's not technically necessary. But as a business book and a concept, that is without question one of my most favorites. Okay, any questions? If any of you got books that you want to recommend in here, one of the things, in fact, Jade, can you write it on my list, please?
Yeah.
Is I'm going to do a bit of almost like a book club, not a book club, like a book recommendation section, like a library resource type thing of brilliant books that I love. So if you've got any that you love, let me know and I'll have a read of them and see like if they would make the cut into my recommendation list. But just on the website, I'm thinking that I'll do something like that because I used to do something like that before. Okay, so yeah, any books that you want me to read, tag me. If you've got any questions at all, let me know. Otherwise, I will not see you for ages now. So I am on the retreat next week. So I'm on a retreat from Friday to Monday with my darling Claire Mannion from She Is Strong. A few of you are coming, so I can't wait to see you. So we're on a retreat from Friday to Monday. And then the next 2 Mondays are the Easter holidays. So I have no live scheduled. However, I will try and sneak in and do something ad hoc, and I'll try and let you know if and when I do. But again, that's how being a mum in business rolls and how I want it to roll. I want to be able to be off with my kids. So that's a great thing, isn't it? All right. So I can't say when I'll see you next properly, but I promise I will zip in over Easter. And maybe even from the retreat next weekend if we've got some interesting stuff to tell you. All right. Have a fab week. Have a fab few weeks if I don't catch you properly. But as always, if you've got anything you want to know or any questions, just drop me a message. All right, ladies. Thanks.